I completed that video last week or the week before on telescopic antennas and which is the best one, and we got an Intellitron version now. You all told me that there was like a couple more that I missed that I didn't even know about. Well, I got them, and we're at the park, so let's test them. This is not an insignificant number of antennas here. I think there's another one. What other secrets are you hiding in here? No, that's it. Okay, wow. So I've said that I like these telescoping antennas a lot, but there were two that I have not tested yet, and they're both in black. This is the two-way RH-770 I. This is almost the same look and feel of the Intellitron, the Long Ranger, but in black, although slightly longer at this coil base section, and it's got a BNC connector. And then this one, the most surprising part of the last video was somebody told me MFJ has another telescoping antenna. And I don't know that this is old. I think this is new, which then raises the question of what is MFJ doing exactly? I think that they're like drop shipping Chinese-made gear still. They're not manufacturing, so things like Intellletron and whatever they made in the States are no longer doing, but the Chinese-made products are still available. I bought this a week or two ago, and it was shipped to me, and now I have it. It's the heaviest of the bunch, for sure. I'll drop links to all of these antennas. Some of the links will contain affiliate codes, so thank you if you end up buying an antenna. I appreciate the support. If you've never watched any of my antenna test videos or radio test videos here at the park, I'm about a mile straight shot to my house where I have a software-defined radio listening for me to transmit from here into. That way you can hear my received audio quality about a mile away, as well as my signal-to-noise ratio. I then test all of these antennas against the same radio, and the variable being the antennas will give us something that we can compare which antenna is best. In this case, I use signal-to-noise ratio. It's the number of basically the received power on the receive side, and if we rank all the antennas, we'll know the ones that are at the top and which ones are at the bottom. I like to kick off most of these tests with a standard antenna. A signal stick is what I normally have on my radio, so that is what I use. I am an affiliate for Signal Stick. If you end up getting one of these, it does help me out. Signal Stick, the proceeds of their sales goes to support hamstudy.org, as well as exam tools, which is what a lot of you, newer hams, have probably used to take your tests online. So consider supporting them. It's a good cause. Anyway, let's kick things off with the Signal Stick.
Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu, transmitting on a signal stick at 1417.03 at 2 meters. Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu test.
Now it's time for 70 centimeters. Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu, getting a benchmark with the Signal Stuff signal stick on 70 centimeters
at 1417.20.
Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu. All right, there's our baseline. What's first? Well, why don't we go with this two-way? Since I have the BNC connector on, why don't we go ahead and do that as well? So here's the two-way radio, the RH-670. This advertises itself as a 144, 430 megahertz and wideband receiving coverage antenna. So let's see how it performs. I will be testing this on 70 centimeters as well. Some of these antennas are not 70 centimeters, so let's test it out.
Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu antenna test on the two-way 660 antenna at 1418.02.
70 centimeters. Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu transmitting on the two-way 660
F at 1418.13. Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu.
Now, when I first did a telescoping antenna video, I had these Smiley antennas. They're kind of like the first antennas I picked up, the half wave, the 5/8 wave, and then the quarter wave. This is an adjustable tri-band antenna. These all work really well. They have a different use case for each one of them, but I found that they are, very well functioning. So I thought, while I'm getting a whole new baseline of new antennas, I'd bring out some of my older ones as well, re-baseline them, get them into the new testing criteria, because my antenna and my radio at home is slightly different now. So let's go with the 2 meter first on the quarter wave Smiley.
Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu transmitting on the quarter wave tri-band Smiley at 1419.13. Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu test.
So if you take this unit and you bring it down to the last two elements up, that's your 70 centimeter. At least I think so. I think I remember that correctly. 70 centimeters. Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu antenna test with the Smiley tri-band antenna at 14:19:31
p.m.
Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu test. Great. For me, the 2-meter half wave stays in my bag most days. I really do like this antenna a lot. I will obviously leave the signal stick on my radio to bash around when I'm hiking about, but when I get to where I'm going and I need to reach out and call somebody, I use the Smiley.
Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu transmitting on the Smiley half wave at 14:20:03 p.m. Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu test.
Ooh, it's getting a little sticky. I'm gonna have to clean it off with some WD-40 or something like that. Ooh. All right. One that I only use like one time for an antenna test is the 5/8 wave. It's a dual band 5/8 wave. It's big, it's heavy. Let's see how it does today.
Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu test. This is the Smiley 5/8 wave dual band antenna at 14:20:52. Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu test.
Okay. Ooh, smooth. Buttery smooth. Nice. I bundled up all my antennas, but I'm missing the MFJ Long Ranger. I don't know where it is. Did I drop it? I don't know what's going on, but let's get another baseline with the Intellitron. The Intelleranger. This is the MA1711S. 2-meter only.
Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu antenna test with the Intelleranger at 14:23:04 p.m. Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu test.
A long while ago, I brought this two-way 770 out to the park. It's a dual band antenna, and they advertise the same thing: wide band receive coverage, 2 meters and 70 centimeters. It's got this weird coily thing on the top, but if you pull it out, it's quite telescopic. So let's go ahead and give it a shot on both bands. Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu antenna test with the two-way 770 at 14:24:32. Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu test. Next on 70 centimeters. Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu transmitting with the two-way 770 on 70 centimeters at 14:24:46. Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu test. I bet you want to see that MFJ, don't you? Well, let me go ahead and get this off of here. Okay. Thick. I don't remember what bands this operates on. I don't know if it's monoband. We're going to see how it goes. Extremely tight BNC connection.
Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu transmitting on the MFJ black telescopic antenna at 14:25:31 p.m. Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu test.
So I don't know what the results will be, but I bet editor Josh will tell us all about it back in the studio.
What an absolute slugfest. So I did include the MFJ Long Ranger from the last recording back in February 21st. And you can see that the TWAYRDIO, two-way radio 660, very good. The Intellitron, very good. Little surprised that the Long John, the new MFJ or newer MFJ, didn't rank higher than the Smiley 1/2, who also brought a good showing. All the antennas, half-wave size in particular, very, very effective. I think you can see that. The Smiley 5/8 and 1/4 kind of worked about the same as the signal stick, just about in there, and the signal stick being our kind of a stable quarter wave antenna, something you just kind of always use, our benchmark, brought the same numbers that we would expect. So about the same. 5/8 wave did a little worse than I expected as well, but let's take a look at 70 centimeters for those that could operate there. Now 70 centimeters is where it gets interesting. The TWAYRDIO 660 fighting with the big dogs, the other half wavelength 2-meter antennas, was the #1 UHF antenna. And the others just simply couldn't play. I tested the Smiley, for instance. It did okay. But yeah, TWAYRDIO 660, taking up the lead, followed by the signal stick, and then the other quarter waves that we would expect along with the others there. But yeah, very impressed by that antenna being basically a half-wave antenna, performing as one, and then also having the useful capability on UHF 70 centimeters. Now, I couldn't end it there. I had to take all the antennas and my vector network analyzer you see here out into my backyard in some open air space to do some tests, SWR and Smith chart testing. So here's my attempt to break down what we're actually seeing with some of these antennas. I knew I probably couldn't get away without testing these antennas on something a little bit more serious. So this is the Intellitron, the Intelleranger. Lowest SWR is outside of the band at, well, just inside 144. Are we at the lowest point? Yeah, just about 144 megahertz, but it's at 63 ohms. If you go for the lowest ohms, then we're looking at a 1.9 SWR at 147 megahertz, which is, it's fine. Your radio's going to be fine, but that's an interesting factoid. So take a snapshot of that because we're going to compare it to some of these other antennas as well. Let's go right into the two-way. I want to see how these how this shapes up. So we had that really tight BNC connector, and should be noted that I am using the chromium antenna load solution. Thanks again to the Chromium channel for sharing this with me. But what do we got here? Whoa! Okay, there is a touch panel on the back here to see if your body has any coupling, passive coupling. I'm touching it, it's not doing anything. So the lowest SWR is 1.39 at 145, and you've got a 57 ohm impedance, which is not bad, with the lowest being at 36, so it's actually above the line. So this is inductive versus capacitive now, and it right at 0. Where's 0? Did I miss it? There it is. At 147 megahertz, you have about one-ish reactance at 81 ohms. So it's a little bit north of the band. So interesting. This is more of an inductive antenna. So that's going to be interesting because this is a dual band antenna. So we're going to leave this one out to make sure we test it in a second. My buddy, the Smiley half wave. Interesting. Are we all the way? Let me make sure we're all the way out. Lowest SWR is at 137, and where we hit 0 reactance, we're at 6.7 SWR at 334 ohms. This is not right. Something went wrong here. We're gonna have to come back to that one. I'm gonna take the Smiley 5/8 wave. I do these tests outside here because we're free of any RF noise or anything like that. Oh my god, what is this guy? Alright, so lowest SWR is at 141, which is 57 ohms impedance. Least amount of ohms is 69 with a negative 38 reactance, and if I touch the tape here, no change really. Oh yeah, look at that. Passive coupling. A little bit. Alright, we're going to come back around with some of these because these are also 70 centimeter antennas, so we'll come back to that guy. Alright, well, let's go with the tiny Smiley at 2 meters, so fully extended. Interesting. So I'm just going to check this again. What's our frequency? 146.52 with a 30 megahertz band, which is a little wide, but we can kind of see the whole ends here. So at, oh wow. Let's do a touch test. Quite a reaction to my touching the body of the chromium device. Wow, interesting. And even when I touch, look at when I touch the tester, it also changes. So lowest reactance, quite a jump, is at 135 megahertz, which is not going to work. So let's go back. 138, 140. Wow, when I get my hand touching the chassis and I take it away, there's your coupling, the reactance, or the changes in reactance and antenna performance by touching. Isn't that crazy? That is kind of wild. Wow, okay, didn't expect that. We'll bring that one back for 70 centimeters. The two-way dual bander, the 770. Oh, wow. Not much in the way of changes based off of my touching it, but at 141 megahertz, that's your lowest reactance until you go to the other side of the antenna, which is at 154 at 150 ohms is not going to be good. So let's go to the lowest point of the SWR is about 40 ohms at 1.9 SWR. 30 though is not good for your R reactance value. Interesting. All right, only one antenna we haven't seen on here yet, and it's the new MFJ. Oh my gosh, it's so... I can't do the BNC with my hand. It's so tight in there, so hold on, let me... Got it. Click. Remember, 2 meter only. Oh, I take that back. We're going to test it on both, because I don't know. All right, so... Oh, look at that. Lowest SWR is 1.37 at 100 and... What is that, 143? Yeah, 143. And your lowest reactance is at 149, so kind of out of band a little bit, at 13 ohms, so that's not good either. So let's get closer to the 50 line, which is going to be in the middle. So 50, just about 50 impedance, right there. Negative 17 reactance at a 1.39. So that's the most effective at 143 megahertz. So also out of band there. At 146.520, let's find that. 146.520, 2.2 SWR, 23 ohms, negative 10 reactance. Wow. Okay, let's change the frequency to 446 megahertz. We want a span of 30 megahertz. Oh, I did that wrong. There we go. See how high the SWR is, and we're not really finding any 50 ohm impedance anywhere. So you would not want to use this on your HT. So there, 2 meter only. We've covered that. Let's compare it to the two-way, which argues that it is the 660. And wow. Actually, so this is at 446, the calling frequency. 68 ohms of impedance at 1.6 SWR and negative 23 reactance, which is not good. So all the way down at the bottom is 457, 43 ohms impedance, 1.2 SWR. I'm going to go back to the short Smiley. And what we're going to do with this one is we're going to manually adjust it to get a perfect tune, at least as close to it as we can. So let's see if we can do it, okay? So we should be way out of whack on 70 centimeters. We are. Let's see if we can bring this down. Nope. Yeah, we found it. All right. So super short. We are at 446. 24 ohms of impedance, 15 for reactance though, so 2.1. So let's see if I make this a little bit shorter. What does it do? It brought our SWR down, and our impedance has not come up. 35 ohms of impedance. 47 ohms of impedance. We've improved upon our reactance, and we're at an even lower SWR. So I'm gonna try something. Interesting. Look how my touching it changes it from an 11 to a 5. Okay, let's see if we need to make it a little bit longer. .39 ohms of impedance. 40. 43. 50 ohms of impedance, 51 at 1.2 with a 9.7 reactance. What if we can improve upon that a little bit? 13, it's getting worse. It's going the opposite direction. And we lost some impedance. Okay, so I think at this, a little bit inductive, but I'll show you what I ended up with. I'm using the two largest segments, so the base segment and then this pulled out, and then I slightly just played with this a little bit. Pulled it out about that far and then put it back in. So I kind of adjusted this out. This is the base, then pulled out the base section and then played with the little top stinger a little bit. So that was, this is usable on 70 centimeters. Just about. So there you go. All right. Let's go with the two-way 770 on 70 centimeters. Did we already do this one? I don't think we did. Interesting. At 446, -4 reactance, 40 impedance, 1.2 SWR. That's actually not that bad. If we go in a little bit, as we go in, we lose, we're losing impedance. No, we're gaining impedance and lowering SWR, but losing reactance. And we end up at 442. So let's go to 448. (41 ohms of impedance, 1.2 SWR, really flat, and -3 for reactance, which is not bad. So there you go. That's actually pretty good on 70 centimeters. Let's do the touch test. That did affect it quite a bit. I will be carrying the TWAYRDIO 660, the RH-660 from now on, and I will drop a link to Amazon. Note that they have SMA male and female, and they used to have BNC. I am not sure where the BNC link is. I think they might have all sold out, but I will do what I can to provide the link so you guys can check it out, but I will likely be carrying that in the future.
For us here in the park, I will put links in the video description to all of the antennas. Some of them will be affiliate codes, so thank you for the support if you end up getting them. I am Josh, KI6NAZ73.